When I look at Western civilization and I see young men who went off to war in World War II, 18 years old, some of them lied about their age, 16, 15. I've met men in the Aguaruna tribe in Peru who, when I would talk to them, see a young guy, 16 years old, and find out he was married, he'd built his own hut and had his own garden and was a good hunter. Now, what you need to see is that everything about your culture is wrong. And it's over the last probably 5 or 6 decades, it has just pecked and pecked and pecked and pecked until now the dam has entirely, it's broken. One time in Peru, up in the mountains, I was in this one village, and these villages have jefes, bosses, chiefs, and if they tell you to do something, you have to do it. Doesn't matter who you are. So I was staying there, I was preaching the gospel, and they came in one day and said, "You're going to do road work tomorrow, all day." Gave me a pickaxe. So, get up in the morning, and one of the things that's most amazing, you see men out there and they've got these big pickaxes and they're just slamming away with sledgehammers and pickaxes at these big boulders. You see these women, and they've got these bars that are about 2 meters, about this big around, made out of solid iron, and they just stand on top of the boulder like this, lift it up and go like this. Boom, boom, boom. And you think, an hour and a half, nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden, the huge boulder just cracks in half. Just relentlessly. And that's what's going on in your culture. And it has impacted you far more than you know. Now, I know that some of you were raised far better than I could ever imagine. I know some of you come from faithful parents. I want to acknowledge all that, but you need to understand, it has impacted you far more than you will ever know. And one of the things is not necessarily immoral, but amoral. It's an old saying that we have. Difficult times make strong people. Strong people make good times. Good times make weak people. Do you see? It's time to grow up. It is time to grow up. It is time to grow as quickly as possible. Not in a ludicrous manner. Not, as Paul said, beating the air, not running around in circles, but with an urgency and an earnestness. It's time to lay aside childish things. It doesn't mean that we cannot be joyful. It does not mean we cannot play. It does not mean we should, pass over certain stages in our development. Doesn't mean we shouldn't have fellowship and delight in one another, but it does mean we need to get serious. You are living in a world that is on the verge of destruction. You are living in a culture that is reprobate. Most of you have read Romans 1, is that correct? You've read Romans 1? You see the sin of sexual perversion, and then it goes on from there, and you see violence and animosity and no faithfulness and hatred for one another and hatred for God. A lot of people look at Romans 1 and they go, man, when you see those things, the judgment of God is coming. That's not true. That's not what that passage teaches. Not at all. That passage teaches that when you see those things, the judgment of God has already fallen. He's already turned the culture over. Well, why? What greater sin could there be than sexual perversion and all these, taking the very foundations of creation and twisting them and destroying them? What could be a sin greater than that? Oh, if you ask that question, you don't understand much about God. What could be a greater sin than all those horrific sins that are listed in Romans 1? Well, it's simple. Although they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks.